Hello, dear friends. My name is Sofia Dorinskaya. Let me grab my book. Here it is. My name is Sofia Dorinskaya. I am the head of the Center for Medical Information. I am a doctor. And today we are going to talk about celiac disease, a new pathology. I really like these new pathologies. Yes, that's really what it's called. If you want to get a scientific degree, come up with something new. Forget the old. Forget the genuine. Invent something new on this forgotten emptiness and make a name for yourself in science. So, let's remember what celiac disease is, what modern science tells us about it, what it is. Immunologically mediated. What does that mean? It means the cause is a poor immune system. The disease develops in genetically predisposed individuals. So again, what exactly this genetic predisposition is unclear. What genetic predisposition actually means. It means that your body, excuse me, you didn't get a body, you got junk. You got junk with your genetics, and you'd be better off going to the dump. Things didn't work out with your body. That's what a genetic disease is. Caused by gluten intolerance. Gluten is a plant protein found in grains and some other places. The body can't digest this plant protein, which leads, now listen carefully, to inflammation of the mucous membrane and atrophy of the villi. I've also heard some people say that gluten sticks the villi together. Let's talk about histology, the science of tissues. The science of tissues. Well, excuse my, let's say, lack of artistic skills. I'm certainly not an artist. But here, I drew for you what the lining of the intestine looks like. These lines here, these are actually the villi that cover the inside of the intestine. These villi, what are they for? They are needed to increase the surface area, the digestive surface, the area where the breakdown of substances, metabolism, digestion, absorption, and so on take place. But these villi have a very interesting quality. Let's not forget that right here, we have a digestive bolus, and digestive enzymes are released. Therefore, these villi grow and disappear. They get digested, they disappear. And right here, there are undifferentiated cells, which I've shown as little dots, from which new villi grow. Therefore, by definition, it's impossible to glue these villi together, because they are constantly renewing, because this is a digestive process. Digestion, you understand. Therefore, this marketing lie that something sticks together in the intestine with celiac disease, well, that's just a catchy slogan. It doesn't correspond to reality at all. And now, my friends, my video will probably be very short again, because basically, there's not much to talk about here. Let's take another look at what modern science says about this, about what celiac disease is. So, this is all genetic. It leads to inflammation of the mucous membrane and atrophy of the villi. And now, let's read the autopsy results of patients with pellagra. We often observed atrophic changes in the mucous membrane and glands, as well as slight round cell infiltration of the submucosa. The small intestines usually showed pronounced atrophy of the villi, sometimes to a certain extent masked by their swelling. What does this mean? There was atrophy, but swelling made them appear present. In addition to atrophic changes in the mucous membrane, similar changes often affected the muscular layers of the wall as well. The large intestine usually showed signs of subacute colitis with hyperemia, redness, hemorrhages, cyst formation, pronounced infiltration, and saturation of the mucous membrane, especially the submucosa. Sometimes hyaline mixed thrombi were found in the submucosa. Once again, modern science, modern, says that the body cannot digest plant protein. Ladies and gentlemen, let's remember what I told you about eating meat and why a person cannot get complete nutrition from plant proteins. Because these are very hard to digest proteins. And gluten is exactly that plant protein that these poor vegans eat, whose brains have been muddled by who knows whom. Those very doctors who were trained in ballet schools and road institutes. See the previous video. You see, when a person has pellagra, it's not because they eat bread and have a genetic inability to digest gluten. They can't digest gluten because they have pellagra. And with pellagra, there's a deficiency of nicotinic acid. There are atrophic changes in the mucous membrane and its glands, atrophy of the intestinal wall villi, atrophy of the mucosa, large intestine, colitis, subacute colitis with hyperemia, redness, hemorrhage, cysts. Thrombi. Next, there is, you see, we have a cart. We have, this is modern science that makes up pathology out of thin air. It puts the cart before the horse. A person can't digest gluten, not because they inherited a defective body from their parents, not because they found themselves defective in the trash, but because their body has a deficiency of nicotinic acid, which can be congenital. Oh my goodness, a congenital deficiency of nicotinic acid. You see, when you don't eat meat for years, or only eat about 200 grams, your children may have a congenital deficiency of nicotinic acid. And that's the horse. And the fact that he can't digest gluten, that's the cart. That's the consequence, you see. And you shouldn't put the cart before the horse. It won't go anywhere. That's exactly why they can't cure it. What cart? What nonsense. Some kind of epidemiology, symptoms, and then what? Here in the picture are reference books I'm reading, the professional version, and then they show dermatitis, symmetrical, pylogenic dermatitis. And they don't even intend to figure it out. And they don't even intend to become competent doctors, you see, and they just promote all this nonsense into the modern world. So, ladies and gentlemen, if someone tells you that with celiac disease some villi in the intestines stick together, that's called Kamevo-Yazerskaya talk. Nothing sticks together there. It's impossible. What actually happens, the atrophy, it doesn't happen because you have a genetically defective body, but simply because you have a nutrient deficiency. And if you give your body the right nutrients, if you stop messing around with things like veganism and start eating real food, meat, primarily meat, you see, and eliminate nutrient deficiencies, you will get a body like this efficient, with digestion like this, and everything else that comes from good digestion, mental and emotional stability, good mood, good endurance, both physical and mental, and so on. If you need help with this, please come. Celiac disease is not a genetic disorder. That's a lie. It's something made up by someone who wanted to make a name for themselves in pseudoscience. All this celiac disease is just a specific manifestation of pellagra, a deficiency of nicotinic acid.